What you talking about, Willis?
It's Fight Mike! There he is right there again. He went off for a second. Roque Reyes, my dude from the 209, former MMA fighter, constant BJJ practitioner. You're brown belt now?
Yes.
And your son's a blue belt?
Yep.
Well, how old are you? How old are you now?
16.
Oh, man. 16 and a blue belt already, dude?
Man.
That's crazy.
It is. It's a trip because he started coming to the gym with me when he was like 7 or 8. When I was at Sencal and I was running some grappling classes over there, he just wanted to be in the gym. Like, it wasn't one of those things where it's like, come on, you're gonna go to the gym with me. He just wanted to be there, and it's been cool to feel and watch his progression since he was 7 or 8 up to like where he's at now. You know, it was a real, not a gut check, but like a real kind of like a rite of passage, if you will. We were at our old spot we used to be at. We would do like pre-tests before the promotions because the Charles Gracie group, you know, they have their promotions. All the schools get together. They come in. So like our sensei at the time would run everyone who was going to promote, run them through the tests. And you know, hip toss was one of them. And his full hip tossed me. And how old were you at that time?
Probably around 13 or
yeah, like 13 years old. And if it was like whip, I was like, all right, man. Like it's like that was like his puberty's hitting, like his nuts dropped, so to speak. And but yeah, I mean, like now, you know, I used to always wait for, you know, when he's older and bigger, and you know, my size isn't so much of a factor anymore. That's when it's going to be on. And for the last 2 years, basically, it's been on. You know?
That's badass, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, not too many people, like the average person, 15, 16, they don't really have the best control, like especially non-athletes. They don't have the best control of their bodies. So, but isn't it 15 years old is like the earliest somebody can get a blue belt anyways?
16.
Is it 16?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see this. I just remember how I was back then. I mean, luckily I was really athletic, but I just remember it's like the average person that's like 15 or 16. They just
it depends on when they started. Like, you know, if they started when they were 14, let's say, you know, no athletic background, they're you know, the level of their blue belt is not going to be, you know, as experienced or as refined as someone like him. He's been doing it since he was 7 or 8. You know what I mean? So like, and then, you know, he's a competitive soccer player. He's a soccer referee. So like, he's got the athletic background. Like he's been soccer and jiu-jitsu since he was 7 or 8. And so, but to your point, someone, you know, like a 6-year blue belt who started years ago, the control of their body, they're still going to have those spazzy white belt tendencies because they're only 2 years into jiu-jitsu, whereas, you know, other people who've been, you know, started when they were, you know, even at 10 years old, their body control, their understanding of how to use your body is going to be very different because they've had, you know, 4 to 6 years of relearning their body. Because in jiu-jitsu, you're basically relearning your body because we're used to doing curls like this.
Bad habits, man.
Doing it backwards. You know what I'm saying? Or like you didn't realize you can twist your arm like this to get out of an underhook when, you know, you're in someone's guard or whatever, when they got up top. Just all the little things that, you know, you don't think are normal, or we're not, to us isn't normal because it's not a natural range of motion that we're used to on a daily basis. Like, you know, but jiu-jitsu blows all that out of the water because, you know, like you just move your body in a certain way that is not conventional. It's not that it's not normal, it's just not a conventional use of your body.
I used to train with Paul Mendoza. You know Paul, right?
Yeah, that's my dude, man. He's a good guy.
So I used to train with Paul, and Paul's a blue belt. So there'd be times I didn't really tell anybody about this shit, like especially when I was in the MMA media stuff. I trained with Paul for like a year and a half, and there was times where I go to the gym. This is when he had his karate school. Before he was at this big gym that he has in Modesto.
Yeah.
He had dynamic karate.
Okay.
Right. And he started teaching. He got Help's permission to teach jiu-jitsu when he was a blue belt, because like there's nobody that, you know, had any jiu-jitsu around. This is a long time ago, dude. This is like 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And so I was training with Paul. There'd be days where like he's the only one there, I was the only one there that showed up.
Uh-huh.
So I was rolling with Paul, like just me and him, white belt. But that's how I learned quick though. But I came fresh in from playing football, and I was doing bench press and trying to be like the strongest I could, just like all these physical false strength stuff. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All the stuff that like really plays against you, and like he knew, especially too when I would roll with him, I was just getting caught all the time, man. Just bad habits though, like you were saying, just movements that are not really good for you.
Especially coming from a football background, it's all power. There's not as much grace, and
right.
No disrespect to football, but that's just some of the differences between the two. Football is a flat-footed, move forward, power kind.
Yeah.
I mean, the grace might be a little more with the routes that the receivers are running, and maybe even the running back, but it's still forward, power, go.
Exactly.
As jiu-jitsu isn't. Like when I was coaching him when he was younger in soccer, I ended up getting one of my high school friends. Their kid wanted to play, so I got him on my soccer team. And he came from a football background, and even the differences in the footwork and how you have to be on your feet in soccer, that transition from football is hard because even though soccer is a physical sport, you're using your feet a lot. It's all grace. It's all movement. It's not feet planted, moving forward with power. And so, I've seen the differences in there. And then the kid got really better the following season. It was cool to see that progression. But to relate it back to jiu-jitsu, like there's just, we think, and I think growing up, power, masculinity, be strong. Like the bigger you are, the more tougher you're gonna be. But all that stuff's up here though. Like you can be the most buff sissy in the world because your mind isn't confident. And in jiu-jitsu, we're learning ways to manipulate that power forward stuff using the momentum against them, and again, retraining your body, reframing the way you think and how your mind works because it's not conventional. You know what I mean? But it's been a great journey up to this point, and even going through the transition we did, we were at SenCal for about 2 or 3 years, and like that was kind of like the height of my MMA, my amateur days and stuff, of winning the belt and fighting for a few other titles, and just being in the mix, man, grinding, living that little bit of my dream. And then the gym shutting down and kind of being floating around for a little bit, and then we found our way at Cortez Martial Arts. We were there for like 6 years. And then, things happen. You don't think things are going to happen until they happen to you, and we ended up, splitting off from them. And it was about maybe six months, maybe just trying to like figure out where we were going to go, because I had, I have so many contacts based on everything I did in MMA and then open mats, what I'm saying? Like all that stuff. My network really grew. And I had met Tim Freeman, who's our coach now at 10th Planet inside BJJ, Sergio Silva affiliation. I had met him just going to open mats, and then he ended up splitting off where he was at open. And right around the time we split, he was starting to think about opening his own spot, and then it just worked out. Like we got along cool, and we've been there for 2 years. Learning a whole new system. With the Planet stuff. I mean, I was kind of messing with heel hooks and a little bit of knee bars, but nothing to I didn't really understand the full mechanics behind all that. And so being able to learn all the 10th Planet system coming from our gi background, previous 6 years, I think it's helped us a lot because we get to kind of have a hybrid style, between both. So just from beginning to end, the journey, dude, it's been great. Even though we kind of had some setbacks and things are kind of weird in some areas, but I mean that's just how it goes sometimes, man. You just got to do what's best for you and keep that jiu-jitsu book, keep writing that book, man. You know what I mean? And it's been cool, to watch his progression, and 42 doing jiu-jitsu with a fat belly is kind of different. You know what I mean? Because it's funny, fighting at 130, going pro at 135 and spending a couple years there, fighting at even 145, 155. I'm 189 now. You know what I mean? So it's just and the it's so much harder to keep the diet in check because we're not training as much as we used to. It's not balls to the wall 6 or 7 days a week. It's like I'm just kind of chilling now, but I would like to not have the belly that comes with chilling. But
Tell me about it, man. It's so hard to get any weight off that comes on, man.
yeah,
Crazy, right?
yep, yep.
Yeah, because I'm 42 as well. So
Okay, yeah,
same age. So trust me, I know, man. I was telling my girl this other day. Like I remember when I was 34, 35, I literally felt it, dude. I started.
dude, the same thing with me when I was about 34. I used to train a lot with Paul because like I fought one of his guys for the 135-pound belt after I won my 45-pound belt.
Uh-huh.
It turned out that my sense at the time was really good friends with Paul growing up in the martial arts, karate, and all that stuff. And so I started training at Paul's, like, whenever, as part of my camps, like 2 days a week for the MMA classes. And I remember I was about 35, and I was like, why the fuck am I still doing this? Like, I just felt that change, dude. Like, my body wasn't healing up as fast as it was. Like, the weight was kind of harder to get off. And then, and I had been already in the game for a minute. And then, then I'm starting to think, like, why am I doing this? It's like, oh, wait a minute. One of those weird, like, not
Yeah.
an epiphany, but just that kind of, like, weirdness, like, what?
You're in 5 years, I'm gonna be 40 years old, dude. That's what
Yeah.
you're thinking. That's what I was like. That's what I was thinking. So for me, like, I moved all the way to a different state.
Yeah.
This was almost 3 years ago, so I was approaching 39, dude, and I'm just like, if I move there, like, it's literally all in. Like, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been cool to watch you too, man, and all that stuff because, you're on a, excuse me, you're on a different journey, but it's a journey to goal fulfillment. It's a journey to get somewhere. It's not just aimlessly going here, going there. And so to watch you do that, all, from whenever we started like talking and stuff when you were doing the fight mic stuff,
Yeah.
and then just watching your progression all the way up to having your all the little clips that you post for all the little series that you've been in, all the Amazon Prime stuff that's coming out. Like, it's been real cool to watch that, man. And like, your positivity, dude, is great. Knowing a little bit of the history from what you've posted before, like, it's really the mental aspect of life in general is really an important factor that I think people don't really understand because it's not really like taught, growing up unless you're in some specific where it kind of you have like people in your life that's gonna have you look at that stuff like jiu-jitsu, relearning your body kind of stuff. Like, you kind of have to relearn how your mind works, and you have, but in a way you have to have people guide you to that. And I think maybe I would go out on a limb to say that jiu-jitsu may have done that for you. I don't know how long you were trying to get into acting prior to the fight mic stuff, but the mental maturity,
it got a lot of aggression out, bro. Like, and this is just like another thank you to Paul. Like, he's a real calm guy.
Yeah.
And you and I both know there's just different style of teachers. People just like certain people just have different mentality, and he was just real calm, dude. And I think he kind of sensed I had a lot of aggression. After I was done playing football, that's when I started to go train. I just didn't know where to put it. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be playing football anymore. What do I do with my life? I knew I was real strong. I knew I was athletic. I kind of had like this little bit of an ego mentality. I mean, at 21 years old.
Oh, yeah, a 21-year-old football player. Yeah, you're all about that. What?
All about that shit. Yeah, dude. And then like there was nothing better to be humbled by somebody like him.
Yeah.
But it was the way that he did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's really important, man. Like, you have to be able. It's almost like comedy. Like, you gotta know your audience, right? You gotta know even in if you're going to a mixer, if it's for business or whatever the case is, like, you have to know your audience. Like, I can't go into certain groups and talk about certain things that I might talk about with you or him in our setting because like we're super cool. So like we get each other's sense of humor or whatever. Like, you have to be able to know what's going on, and because there is a such thing as saying the wrong thing, that you make a bad impression, and that can last a lifetime, because oh, like, he's cool, but there, he's kind of weird about some stuff. It's a little uncomfortable, and you make people uncomfortable. They really don't want to mess with you too much. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So being able to understand people are different, understand the signals people are getting, the unconscious signals that are being transmitted, um, and everybody's different. They develop different. One of the cool things, I was already coaching him in soccer, and I started running some classes. But when we got to Cortez, I was able to continue. Um, you know, I was an assistant instructor, so I was still coaching. Kids like that, fresh in, to kids that like been doing jiu-jitsu for a while, kids with other athletic abilities. Like, you have to be able to you have to be able to coach each one differently to their level,
Yeah.
because the one way and that's it, you're going to lose a lot of people. So, and then for somebody like Paul, Paul's like, he's, even though he wasn't a head instructor to me, or my sensei, but like, you know the coaching that he provided when I was there, like, he's just a super cool dude, and like, I always appreciate guys like that. And I'm still appreciative and grateful for everything that we were able to do at Cortez. Nothing against them whatsoever, but you just kind of click with certain people.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's just like fathers and sons. Like, the father is not going to be the end all be all in the maturity and growth of his son. He's going to have coaches. He's going to have other positive role models in his life. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, my way isn't the perfect way, and I'm not strong in all areas, and we're human. We are not perfect, but so to have different leaders in your life that you can draw from for influence or conversation or whatever the case may be, like, it's always cool. And Paul, to me, has always been one of those guys. Like, I still talk to him this day, and I still go roll over there whenever I can. It's always open, and like, but being able to have different people you can kind of call upon in certain situations, and then but at the same time, though, the being a leader yourself, being able to understand the differences of individuals, because not everybody's the same.
Exactly, man. Exactly, bro. Did you watch those fights on Saturday?
Yes, man, dude. Oh, man, like, Roosevelt Roberts used to train with us.
I know. That's what
Oh,
I was
yeah,
asking.
yeah. I was back in the fight my days. I was so like sad for him, man, because it was just one of those, like, I think it was a in the heat of the moment mistake, where
Mistake.
on the arm bar you stand up, and I was like, damn it, man. But like, not Jim Miller's, man, that dude is legit as they come.
Yeah, if you make that much of a
Yeah.
mistake, somebody with that much experience, they're gonna catch you every time.
Yeah, yeah. It reminded me of when Pettis beat Henderson for the 155-pound belt.
Same thing.
Dude, it was exactly the same. He stood up, and like, but he stood all the way up, and it's like a
Bang.
pendulum. You go from that stacked position, your arm it just goes, and man, it's just, but being able to even to watch that guys, like the guys that I've gotten to know or train with, like, move up, I mean, dude, he's 10-2 now. Like, there ain't nothing wrong with 10-2, and most, and the wins and wins in the UFC, like,
How
dude,
old is he? How old is he right now?
maybe 25. He's still young.
Dude, he's not even close to his full potential yet, man.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, overall, dude, there was a lot of good fights, man. Like that Emmett and Burgos.
Oh, how sick was that one?
Legit. And dude, even watching Josh Emmett, I think we fought on the same amateur card for Titans Cage years ago. And so like watching him, Cynthia Calvillo, Anthony Hernandez, Max Griffin, like Andre Feely, like,
How sick was West Coast Fighting, bro?
huh?
How sick was West Coast Fighting Championship?
Yeah, dude,
all
like,
of you guys
all
are
those-
fans.
You know what I mean? And like, even Joseph Morales, guys that I fought, Joseph Morales, I fought Noel Helene Hernandez from AKA. He got his shot in UFC. Like, dudes coming up in Bellator, dudes coming up in the UFC, but like local cats, man, like people that you have a connection to. It's one thing like, oh yeah, AK's in San Jose, I'm in Saga, it's not that far away, but like when you have a direct connection with people that are close and are moving up, like, dude, it's just super cool to watch. And I don't care if these dudes beat my ass in a fight or not. Like, we're like, it was never anything personal. But and I'm not gonna hate on anybody's success. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's the toughest, dude. That was the toughest. That's the toughest area in my opinion, man. Like the West Coast fighting, Titan, King of the Cage in Sacramento, Bay Area. Bro, look how many fighters, look how many guys made it to the UFC.
Yeah, dude, and it's so cool. But I mean, that Emmett fight was dope. What was the other one? Dude, Curtis Blades at the end. Dude, it was so funny, man. But like, Volkov was so close. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I think unfortunately for Blades, even though like he got his stand up in there and he looked good, I just think somebody more polished is gonna catch him, because I think he relies on his wrestling so much, and that's not really a bad thing, but he starts people like you can see the sloppy shots happening after he gets tagged. He was tired. He was throwing with Volkov. Volkov caught him. He just goes in for a sloppy shot. If Volkov could have got the read with the knees, somebody more experienced and more like that can move, that has better footwork than Volkov, I think will catch Blades. But shout out to Blades. I mean, that dude's made a huge advancement in his skill set. You know what I mean? But overall, like, it was a good fight. We were like back and forth. The Feely fought that night too, right?
Yeah. No, he
fought. No, the one before. It was the one before, right?
There's so many fights, so many fight cards. Like, it's just getting confused and trying to keep up with them.
The same card as Calvillo fought on. That's when he fought.
Okay. Yeah. But I think the highlight of the fights this past weekend, this last one, was Bobby Green's post-fight interview.
Oh, that was
awesome. Dude, like, I've never known Bobby Green to be the way, and I only know him just from what I see, like his interviews and shit. He seems, he just didn't seem like that humble of a person just from what I've seen. I don't know the guy personally, but I think that was a very, a very good message that he delivered on his post-fight. Touching on everything that's going on. You're kind of in a hotbed of it, over there in Georgia, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy. But overall, dude, the fights were good. Like, we're like the last few cars we've been working in my bathroom. We've been remodeling our bathroom for like a month. It's just so like we're watching. We got the fights on the phone, so like we're doing some work and then we're watching, then we're doing some work, then we're watching. But yeah, dude, the being able to watch fights again is cool. And it's been a lot of good fights, man. Like, these, a lot of these fighters, making quick turnarounds to come back and fight. Like, that shit's cool too.
Yeah, dude. What do you think about that Fight Island shit coming up?
That's interesting.
Fight Island what?
The Fight Island coming up.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Pop?
Well, I think it's cool that they got a place where they could fly out fighters whose like country won't allow them to, like Russia or England. So we can finally see Leon Edwards back in there, maybe, and Khabib and all those guys.
Yeah, that's gonna be
cool.
good.
But I think it's cool that the UFC is doing that stuff. But it makes me also think about how a lot of the people that are really vocal against the fighter pay. Like, I think fighters should get paid what's due to them. But I think that the general public, and maybe even some of the fighters, I don't know that they understand the cost to run the UFC as an organization. Because and if you just look at the payroll aspect, these are topics that are more or less for somebody who understands business, understands numbers, understands that kind of stuff. But just the payroll alone for every UFC employee to run the organization, you have that, just the pay, and then you have the taxes that the company has to pay on top of that, and then if they have benefits, and they got to do the benefits, and these are just for the regular salary people. Then you got the rent on the PI Institute. You got the rent on all the office buildings that they need. the Apex that they have out there, and then you can look at, they're working on up to 3 cards at one time, and so if you're averaging 12 to 14 fights a card, that's 24 to 28 fighters per card that are getting ready for a fight. And the UFC covers their injuries if they get hurt during camp. So there's that cost right there. But that in a way, it's like when you go to a regular job and you want to get paid $20 an hour, but they're going to pay you 18, but you get full benefits in a 401k. That kind of offset. So there's a little bit of offset there because like that. I mean, you get hurt in training camp, they're going to cover it. Like, back in the day, you get hurt in training camp, like you're fucked because now you
have that.
Yeah. And so, the out-of-pocket costs on that. So there's that. And then you look at the cost just to promote one card, all the marketing and the merchandising and all the camera crew, the setup crew, the traveling. Like, there's so much more than just what they made at the gate, because what they made at the gate has to be allocated, to a number of different accounts. And even though the fighters are putting more of their body at risk, during the show, the promotion are the ones fronting the money.
Yeah.
And the promotion is doing a lot of work that the fighters just got to get ready for the fight, and not to be dismissive of that, because that takes a lot of work in and of itself. But you can't be dismissive of everything the promotion has to do to get, just so you can fight on the card. You can't have one without the other. But if you were to break it down, like, the UFC doesn't need the fighters as much as the fighters need the UFC, and I think once people understand that balance, it's not as like, oh, give us more money, we're getting screwed over, but
they're already in a hole as it is, though, when they purchase, the investors that purchased the UFC for the billions of dollars, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make their investment back.
Oh yeah.
That's also something they're not thinking about.
Yeah.
So they probably take their portion off the top.
Oh yeah, for sure.
From each show, so then you minus that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go from there. The fighters don't think about shit like that.
And not that they should or shouldn't, but it has to be part of the conversation. You got to think about, you just can't have blinders on. In any part of life, you just can't have blinders on. You have to have a full understanding. And I mean, even though I knew where I wasn't going to get to in MMA. I knew, I was very clear on what I was doing there. But, I forgot the point I was going to make.
About the fighter pay and just understanding that.
Yeah, so, right. Okay, here we go. So when I turned pro, I was like, okay, now I'm in the business of MMA.
Yeah.
As an amateur, it's you're just fighting just to fight, you know what I mean?
More of a hobby type.
Yeah, well, yeah, more of a hobby type, but you're not really worried about the money, because I had a regular job, I had a regular job, that was where I was making money and whatnot. But, even for, the people who want to go pro and really make a career out of it, what I'm saying? It's a business, you have to have a general understanding of how that stuff works. Because if you don't, you're going to get lost, or you're going to have to pay somebody to know that stuff for you, which is where your management comes in, this and that. And it could work in some aspects, but for me, I was like, why am I going to have somebody do something I can do on myself? Why am I going to pay somebody to do something I can do myself? Or, if I have a homie who wants to get into management or whatever, and we start working together, at some point he's going to be owed some money, and he may never ask it because he's my friend. But we don't put work in to get better at something to do it for free. You know what I'm saying? So but for me, I was like, I'd rather, I'll promote myself. I'll make my own matches. I'll do all that stuff and get my own sponsorships. If somebody wants to help, come along for the ride, cool. But for the most part, if I can do it on my own, I'm gonna do it. And I never got stuck in the, all I need to do is focus on my fight, motherfucker. you still have to figure out a way to get to the gym. You still got to have your personal life in order. Like there's so many other factors that at the time, a lot of these youngsters weren't really paying attention to. And not that I'm some big guru MMA guy. Like, I had one fight in Bellator and I was 0-4 when I retired as a pro. Like, I know that, I don't have the credentials for some to speak on some of the things, but to me, it's just simple economics and understanding the numbers, man. Like, there's so many more variables to fighting. There's more to fighting than fighting. And the more that people understand going in, they don't, because you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. You always got to have an exit plan. And in my opinion, with anything, even the job I have now, like, what if, it doesn't work out? I get fired tomorrow. I got to be able to figure out what I can do next. So I just, there's a lot that has to go into people who want to become a pro fighter. And it's not the easiest.
Look what happened with Nate, bro. Okay, let's break this down just realistic. We're talking like numbers and how good of a fighter he is, the amount of time that he put in, the amount of fights that him and Nick had.
Mm-hmm.
From a financial standpoint, where was he before he fought Conor McGregor, and now where is he now after he fought Conor McGregor?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're right, man. It's like, he definitely wasn't where he was at.
This is not a knock on his skills or how badass he is, and there's definitely not a knock on that. I'm just speaking from economics, from like a money point of view. It changed his whole thing. It changed his whole life, bro.
Because you have people that sell. Conor McGregor sold.
He sells.
And so that's how like a lot of fighters got their big break, with the money. And so and you see a lot of fighters trying to hop on that train too. It's like Conor, this, that. And so that you have people that sell. That's the thing.
You got to play the game. If you want to get.
It's a business, like you said. When he turned pro, it's a business.
You have to play the game, and if you don't play it, you're gonna get kind of left behind. But I will say that it's good for him, especially during the Masvidal fight, the whole leading up to that, and even the Pettis. It's good. He's finally getting the shine, as I think he's deserving of the respect, because he's been putting in work in the UFC, top level athlete fighting organization for years. And it took, like, I didn't realize it at first until one day I just kind of stopped and I was thinking, I was listening to what he was saying. I was like, what, he's right, man. Like, he wasn't getting the respect that he deserved, I don't think. And, because he wasn't out there, really barking as much as a lot of these other guys do. But to see him getting the shine now and all that, it's unfortunate. Like, he's kind of getting screwed in a way with, just how that landscape is played out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, it's good, to watch him get a shine. And even guys like Masvidal who've been putting in work for a long time, to finally really get the shine that they probably should have gotten some time back.
Yeah, I've been seeing these comments that people, all these posts that people have been putting about Masvidal, how he's asking for like a really big number to fight Usman or something like that. People are saying, he's pricing himself too high. Well, of course, wouldn't you? If you're in the spotlight right now, you've been fighting this long, and you actually have the opportunity to raise the stakes, you're gonna do it too.
It's just like when you're selling a vehicle. You're gonna shoot high, they're gonna shoot low. You're gonna meet in the middle, and you're still gonna be above. Because
what you would have got if you wouldn't have did that.
Right. Because I'm, let's say you and I you want to buy a car off me, and I'm starting at 10,000, and in my mind, I'll take 8. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to take. I'll be like, give me 95.
See what I do, right?
Right. Yeah. See what you're going to come up with and see if it's worth me dropping what in my head I wanted to agree upon to see if it's worth it. But as far as the Masvidal thing goes, I read some stuff that they wanted to pay him less for the Usman fight than they did for his last fight, and I think that was his point of contention. Why am I going to take less for a title fight than the fight I just fought a while back?
That kind of goes with what I was just saying too about now Nate Diaz's marketability. Money talks, and I'm sure that the UFC gauged what the gate was going to do, how much money was going to come in, and it's a lot more than Masvidal against Usman, just real world, right?
Yeah.
Regardless if Usman's the champion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And we don't know the metrics that they're using. Like, you know, is Masvidal talking about his contractual pay, or is he talking about his overall pay? Because if he got a piece of that gate, like he made out. They both made out on the gate if they got a percentage of it. So, you know, it's really hard, you know, or it's really hard for me to understand how in people go on a lot of this stuff. It's like, you guys don't even know. Like, we really don't know to be so certain about what we're saying about whatever it is we're talking about when it comes, especially when it comes to fighters' pay. We don't know what the UFC's metric using. We don't know what Masvidal's looking at. We don't know what Nate's looking at. We don't know for real, like, what these metrics and variables they're using to get to the decision that they made to say whatever they're going to say. Like, even when people criticize, like, you know, fighters and this and that who never done anything athletically, or and I get a little more, not offended, but I guess I take it a little more personally, because I was a fighter and I did put in the work, and at the level I was at, which was really low, I had to fucking work. It was a lot of work.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Just, even just going to jiu-jitsu 3 days a week, that's a lot of work.
It is.
So for, like, people to go really in on fighters and be so critical of what they've done, it's like, dude, you guys need to, like, take a chill pill, man, because, I mean, it'd be like me trying to go rag on LeBron, or the weakest guy on an NBA team. Like, I have no idea what it's like to be that person, or to even play basketball or anything like that. So, everyone, is getting so high up on what they have to say about whoever. It's like, settle down there, buddy. You know what I mean? Like,
I have no clue, man.
And people don't even, like, it's like people don't even have a filter anymore. Like, like, especially now, critical thinking, logic, empathy, sympathy, like, all these things that make humanity what it is. Like, a lot of it's, like, very hard to find now, because
it's out the window now.
People are so impulsive. It's like they haven't, like, the saying, think before you speak still applies. Think before you type. Just because it pops in your head don't mean you got to go and say it on social media, or try to be like, oh, I'm 100, I'm keeping it real. Or you still have to have a level of humility in any part of your life, whether it's face to face, over the phone, on the internet, whatever, like, And then on the flip side, you got people that'll take one little piece and just blow it out of proportion, dude. Like, it's so hard to even have a conversation just for the sake of conversating, because somebody can and will be there to try to make it more than it is. Like, if we're just talking about somebody using the N-word, and I think it even happened. Somebody was out there talking to somebody else about so-and-so said the N-word, but then it got out like, oh, this person said the N-word, and it was the guy telling the story about someone else doing it. It's like, people just want to start shit. It's like, and people aren't even hip to how much they're contributing to the bullshit we're all going through, because they're all about themselves and just want to say what they want to say and then walk away. And it's like, man, you can't, especially for those people whose name is important to them. Like, if I'm in the wrong, I'll own it, but, like, don't make some shit up don't try to make my name bad, when it's not the truth. That's what I don't like it. But if I fucked up somewhere, I'll eat it. My bad, I'm sorry, whatever. But, like, don't just go out there and try to, slander me just because you want to get some buzz, or you want to, be the whistleblower. You know what it is? All these motherfuckers are snitching on each other. Everyone's still on this whole snitching tip. But, so-and-so said this. Oh, so-and-so said that. Well, if it was a crime, that would be called snitching, what you're doing. So you're basically dry snitching on somebody because you're trying to make a big deal, and then trying to, like, the heat that people want to bring it. That's all filled with hate, dude. That's malicious stuff. And it's like, how does nobody see that? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's just crazy.
Man, the only reason why I haven't deleted my Facebook during this time, bro, is because I personally need it for all the stuff that I do professionally. Right. I rarely put up any personal posts all the stuff that you see me, like 99% of the stuff, it's a podcast thing, or like, you know, if I have a movie that I did that's coming out, you know what I mean?
It's nothing super serious. Like, I mean, I'll post shit about, like, you know, like my Father's Day post yesterday, like informative stuff, but nothing like, I'm not going to be super opinionated about what's going on in the world. The most you see out of me on that is like, you guys just treat each other with respect, regardless of whether it's a mask or not a mask, or you think that the cop was justified or he wasn't, whatever. Like, just be respectful and stop, you know, contributing to the deterioration of our world. Like, we all think differently. We all can agree to disagree, and it doesn't make somebody a racist because they think a certain way. Like, people want to put everybody in a box, but everybody, like, I don't put me in a box. You know, I don't want to be marginalized, but they're marginalizing people and putting people in a box when they don't want to be put in a box themselves. You know, and it doesn't matter what the topic is. Just overall, it's like, life isn't as black and white as we would like it to be, or as it's portrayed to be. There is so much gray area in life in general that, you know, not everything can be down the middle, black and white. It just can't. Like, there's things on the Republican side or on the conservative side that are cool. There's things on the liberal side that are cool, and you don't have to pick sides. Like, why are you making me pick? Like, it's just like Bruce Lee. Take everything that works and get rid of everything that doesn't.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And that and we're talking about a martial artist, and we're conveying that to politics. We're conveying that to human behavior. So, like, you know, there's something to be said about that, what Bruce Lee said, that's powerful, that if your mind is open enough, you can see the correlations and, you know, be the difference.
Exactly, bro. One other fight I wanted to bring up, Dan Hooker against Poirier.
Yes.
That's gonna be sick, dude. Who do you think's gonna win that one?
So yeah, with Dan Hooker's coming up. Like, you see his wins through the ranks, and he deserves, you know, he deserves his rank. And but I think Dustin Poirier is definitely gonna, you know, take the win, just like his longer experience and in the UFC and just fighting in general, and it's awesome to see him grow since his fight with Conor McGregor, and now, you know, fought Khabib, or beat, you know, what's his name, Max Holloway, who was the featherweight champion, and you can see he is a championship fighter. And then and that's even cool to say with, you know, Dan Hooker, who went 5 rounds with Paul Felder, who came off a win of Edson Barbosa, who is an also, you know, great lightweight.
Yeah.
And so it's awesome to see, like, these clash of, like, you know, good guys.
You pay more attention to stats than I do, obviously.
Dude, but, that's good, bro.
Like, yeah, I mean, Hooker's coming up, like you said, but I just think that Poirier's he's just too much right now. You know, I mean, it's a big step for Hooker, and all the respect to him, but I just think Poirier's just too polished. He's just too much for what Hooker has right now. It's going to be a good fight nonetheless, but I think Poirier's going to take that one.
I say, like, in 2 years, Dan Hooker is going to be, like, the guy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like, we're looking at weight classes, like we were talking about, you know, Roosevelt, you know, and looking at, you know, the lightweight standings. It's like, you know, then, you know, we talk a lot about we talk about all the weight divisions, but man, you know, 45 and 55, that is a stacked division. Like, you got nothing but killers in that top 15.
Even 35, even 135.
Yeah,
still
35, 45, and 55. I mean, just straight, like, killers, dude.
Emmett's number 8 in the 145. He can beat the number 2 or number 1 guy.
Yeah.
He's number 8.
But just you know, for the fighter trying to get to Emmett, like, the shit that fighter's gonna have to go through, or the fighters that dude's gonna have to go through to get to number 8, even to get to number 10, like the bottom 5 of the top 15, like, they're no joke fighters, man. And so, you know, there's a lot of exciting fights I think that can be made, but just, you know, it's just that that next level is that's a huge jump for for somebody as talented as Roosevelt. I mean, he's a very bright prospect, but nothing against him, but that next level, it's well, shit, what's his name? Miller was going to be a huge test for him. You know what I mean? And Miller's not even ranked. You get to the guys that are ranked, and whether it's Roosevelt, whether it's the bull that just fought,
Van
Keisha
Buren.
Torres, Van Buren, for anybody who's a hot prospect, like it's gonna take, another level of something to get to that, top 15.
Yeah.
In the UFC, just the caliber of fighters, and it's a trip looking at how things were like 12 years ago, 10 years ago to where they are now, just how the training is so different, with everything, like there's so much more science behind it.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's amazing to see, like, listening to Henry Cejudo when he was on Rogan, while, this was like probably a year ago, but just all the stuff that he does, all the tracking of this, the heart monitors, the fucking measuring your sleep, your REM, it's like, god damn, like it's not simple at all. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I stood away from, like when I was doing my little thing, is like, I don't want to crunch numbers, just I want shit to be simple.
Yeah.
Plus I was a simple man's fighter. I wasn't trying to be elite and go all in, like, you know what I mean? But just, in general, like it's gone so far up in terms of, what's necessary now to be a the bottom of a top level organization. You know what I mean? Like those motherfuckers are killers. Dude.
Yeah, you gotta start young, unless you're just a physical specimen.
It's going back to how boxing was. Like if you didn't start boxing when you were 8, you ain't gonna be shit when you try to start at 14. At least MMA, like you can still, like, start when you're 16, even when you're 18, and like have some relatively good success. You know what I'm saying? MMA, but it's almost getting to the point that you either got to start really young or you got to be like on top of your shit. And that's, just the mental capacity, just for the nutrition part. Never mind the business and all that stuff we were talking about earlier. Just the nutrition part, like you have to have the mental capacity to like be patient with that. Because if not, like it's gonna be very hard.
Yeah, man.
Fucking you're gonna die in the sauna.
That's right, bro.
Crazy.
All right, man. Well, I got another call I gotta do like in 10 minutes. So yeah, we've been on this for almost an hour, bro.
Yeah, that went fast. We spent the first 15 trying to get on. That was funny.
It's all good.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, we'll chop it up again, bro. I'll have you on again. We'll talk.
Yeah, for sure, dude. For sure.
I'll be out there next month, filming some shit.
What are you gonna be doing with that little stuff you were talking about? Anything you can?
So I'm gonna basically be putting. You've seen my sketches. I'm gonna be doing basically longer sketches, 10-minute episodes.
Okay.
With a little more of a storyline on each one.
Yeah.
10-minute sketches, and I want to add the MMA stuff in it.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, if you got some time or you want to get us in, like we'll do something with you if you're down with that.
Yeah, when I get my whole scheduling down, because I've been reaching out to different people.
Yeah.
But as soon as I know my scheduling, and I know I'm going to be there in the 209, I'll hit you up, bro.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, I wanted to ask you though, does the Cholo fit, dude? You ever get any shit from that guy for doing a Vato Persona 2?
No, he shared some of my videos.
Oh yeah?
Like in his stories.
Yeah.
He thinks it's funny.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I think in comedy, like, people aren't as, I don't know, possessive over some of the stuff. I think there's a little bit more leeway. I mean, obviously you don't want to just bite someone's whole bit, but like, I think
my shit's way different than his character, so that's probably why he doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Right on, man. All right, brother. Appreciate it, man. It's we finally got to do something.
Yeah, I'll hit you up again, bro. We'll do another one. I'm gonna be doing this podcast like pretty frequently. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah, for sure, man. Then when you come in, if everything's opened up where we train, man, come through, roll if you can.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure I will. Yeah.
So, all right, brother.
All right, man. See you guys, both of you.